Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. My name is Alex Gray and this is my channel Deep Teaching. This is the first video of our new academic year. Hopefully you've all had wonderful starts or you're looking forward to getting back into it wherever you are in the world. Several people have commented on it. Yeah, the hair is gone. No, my head does not feel any lighter. I can't really tell the difference. Showering is much easier. Yep. Thank you for those of you who told me I look 10 years younger and all of the other things that go with this. But anyway, welcome back. Today's video is about app smashing. Yep, that is a term, app smashing. My friend Drew and I were fortunate enough to interview Dan Fitzpatrick recently for the International Classroom podcast, which you can get hold of just up here. And he talked about this. And I was trying to think of a term over the summer holidays that actually described this. And I was going with app stacking because I was thinking of skill stacking and you can learn one and build up and build up. But no, app smashing is actually a term. I Googled it and that thing does exist. So today's video is based on how I have used AI in this first week of teaching with my classes. And this one is about app smashing, taking into consideration ChatGPT, Midjourney, and OneNote. So let's dive in. So when I was making this, the first thing that I needed to get right was the ChatGPT prompt. Now, I have played around a little bit with gamification and trying to get one, but with input, output, I was never happy with what I was getting back. Now, this is where your professional learning network comes into play. So it's kind of a group on LinkedIn that I follow. One of the guys being Matthew Weymouth. I hope I've pronounced your surname, by the way, correctly, but Matthew. Matthew puts out loads of really good prompts that he's been using, sharing them. And he put one out recently on gamification, saw it, and I thought, great. Let me have a look at that. I took it, I thought, oh, is there anything I'm going to need to tweak or change in it to suit? The honest answer was no. It's perfect, it's a great prompt. So I'm going to use this one just to get us going. Now, what you will see on the screen then is sort of the information I need to put in. Now, I've already added in my lesson outcomes, those were there. But in terms of the year group of students, year 8, and I'm going to be teaching them science. Could be that I wanted to put it in as physics, biology, chemistry. If it's higher up, it might be that you want to talk specifically then regarding, I don't know, the language, be it French, be it Spanish. It could be that you're doing about some humanities. So you could be talking then about geography, history. It could be social sciences with business. But for me, we have that there. And then the rest of the instructions all laid out there, wonderful. So prompt goes in and we'll see the output that we start to get. And show you then what I needed to do to get extra details. So what you can see from this is it gives you ideas. So it gives you the ideas for the levels, it gives you the idea of the bosses, and where you could put Easter eggs, progress bars, rewards, leaderboards, all of those things that gamify something. Fantastic. So I approached it that way, and I'm looking at it and going, I need some more information. And this is where now you need to start to add on your additional prompts and ask it for more things. So what I did with it then is I asked it to create the speed related tasks and challenges for each level, to create the boss battles for each level. And then where I'm going to utilize it in OneNote is that the passwords that I want to use, so they have to type in these passwords to move on to the next level. So input that prompt and it should start to come back with then some more details regarding each level. So the tasks and challenges get a little bit more explicit. The boss battle in terms of the scenario gets a little bit more explicit, and it gives you then the codes. So there we have it. We've just seen it provide out then information regarding the different levels, tasks, challenges, final boss battles, and the points you can award for each one. Great. Thing is, again, though, I actually want it to provide me with the actual tasks. So this is then the third prompt that I would put in And I asked it for level 1, give me the explicit tasks and questions that I can start to use. What's wonderful about this is we've sort of layered up the prompting is that you can have multiple choice questions. So again, dependent on the ability of the students in your class, you could ask specifically for multiple choice questions or short answer questions. You can deviate the types of questions you want. You could actually adapt it if you wanted. So everyone starts up on that. And then as you move up the levels, it becomes more difficult, challenging, or again, you could simply have it adapted so that certain groups have a certain pathway of questions and another group have a different pathway of questions. That's the beauty of then looking at this digitally, which we're going to come on to now. So now that we've got the context and the information from ChatGPT, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for parts of the story and parts of the questions that I can start to put into Midjourney, and that I can then utilize those to create images to support the story, the text, the game as a whole. So what I do first, I'm going to start with the narrative, and I'm going to take a section of this. I've already taken a section of this, and I'm going to go over to Midjourney, what you can see here, and I've put in this part here. So just taking the text and maybe tweaked it slightly, and yes, I've got a typo there as well, by the way. And these are the images that came out from it. Now, I'm in no way, shape or form a Midjourney expert, by the way. I've only probably within the last month started using it. But these are really, really good. Really like these. And it might be, what I want to do is just add some variation to it. But for this is a very simple how-to, by the way, in terms of setting up for the game. So we're just going to say, you know what, we like version 4, so we're going to upscale version 4, and that's the one we're going to use to set on our story. So in order to pull this down, if I click on it, it blows up, and I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to save the image as, which basically will mean I can pull it down to my desktop and it will come from there. So I'm going to save it as there. And I'm going to repeat that process for the questions for the storyline throughout and start to create the images. And then I'm going to add them into my OneNote. Now, just to show in terms of the actual velocity that I made, here are the images that I made for the OneNote that I used with my students in class last week. So I'll show you that as well at the end. But for now, we're going to jump into OneNote. Welcome into OneNote and welcome to Velocity Voyager. This is what I made for my year 8s to go through last week, and this is again what I posted onto LinkedIn that a lot of you were really interested in viewing. Now again, OneNote is something I teach through and have done for the past 18 months. So it's very specific to how I teach and use it. I'm not advocating myself as an expert, but I am going to show you how to set up a breakout room, sort of gamified approach as it were, for this. In order to do this, if I go into all of my classes, I can add a notebook. Okay, so this is I'm going to drag this over so you can see I've got all these different notebooks from class. I'm going to add a new one. So in that case, you can call it whatever you want. So I called it the name of the game. I'm thinking ahead. What I might do is keep all my games just on one OneNote for each year group. So year 8, they never have to click onto different links. It's just a case of renaming them different games and they can work through. But we can keep a track of things, they can go back to things, and it's easy then to reuse or tweak for them future year groups. It's all there, so it's not set up. So I can choose, let's say, a nice blue mist, as it were, blue for physics, name it, in this case, again, I'll call it again, Velocity Voyager. I'm going to save this into my Talim, so that's my school area. I do have a personal one, so I'm going to save it there. And I would click on Create. Okay. For this, I'm going to use my Blue Peter. Here's one I made earlier. And I'm going to work on it from here. So where this comes into it with OneNote is you have sections and you have pages. So I'm going to add a section, and you'll see this new blank space come up. I'm just going to move it down here, okay? Now, what I did with my original one is I called this the introduction. So students don't need any passwords to get into this, anything like that. I can just introduce the game to them and the concept. Now, this is obviously the photo that I generated from Midjourney for it. So in this case, I'm going to input the photo that I generated through Midjourney for this one. Now, in order to do that, there's a couple of ways you can do this with OneNote. You can drag and drop it into there. You can click in the top, you can't see this on mine, but on Insert, there's a section called File. So you'll see all my file, well, you won't see them because it's on the screen, but the files will come up, and let's just say desktop. I'm going to just drag the photo in, and there you go, straight from Midjourney, from my desktop in. So the photo's there. You can now resize this to be as big or as small as you want. And this is kind of the simple way around it. If you had more time and you wanted to play, and I'm just thinking aloud, you could take that, put it into Canva or some form of other photo editing, and you could put text around it, text in it, whatever you want. This is just a visual representation to set the scene as a game. You can make this into a video, voiceover, however you want, depending on your skill set. And but that's probably, again, another app smash for another day. So I'm going to call this my intro. Okay, so introduction goes there, and then I'm going to take the text. I'm going to take this into here, and I'm going to put it just there. So let me move this up. So that was just a simple copy and paste the text from ChatGPT. I'm going to put it here next to my image, just smooth it down. And I'm just going to reword it slightly. So instead of saying students will become, I'm just going to say you will become. Got my text, I've got all that sorted now. And that's there. So there's the opening page done. So what we're now going to do is you're going to add more sections. I'm going to show you why you have to add it as sections rather than pages in a moment. So I'm going to call this one level 1. Okay, and then we have that. Now what I'm going to add here is I'm going to say start mission. Okay, now this is where, in terms of OneNote, becomes good with this, about being able to link to pages. So in this one, I'm going to right click, I'm going to say copy link to section. I'm going to come here, I'm going to highlight the part I want, I'm going to right click on it, I'm going to insert the link, I'm just going to put that there. So the students, instead of having to go through everything on the left hand side, they just click on start mission and it will take them there instantaneously. Okay, so that new section, okay, will come to here. Now what I did with mine, and I'll just show you the level 1 for this, is this was Jurassic Jitters, and this is the layout. It's very simple, probably crude, and when I start going through this more, it might change it. But obviously there's a visual cue for them, and then there's a question, and there's 3 questions. Okay, and then at the end there's a boss battle. Now what I could do is I could change this, and I could put the 3 questions, 1 on each page, and then I could have, so let me show you what I mean by that. So add the page, and I might then have question 1, question 2, question 3. And then I might have the boss battle separately. So students have to work through each page, and then obviously they can show me their answer for each page gamified. I'm just thinking aloud as I would probably amend or change this moving forward. And you can delete them off. I did it that way. Okay, there's the boss battle, and there's obviously the visual representations for each question that's there for them as well. Now, the next part to this, obviously you have your questions from ChatGPT, see them obviously copied in there. You've got the visual representations from Midjourney, you can add them in there. But it's now the part where it's about how do you gamify this, and then how do you turn this into something where they have to input codes to get from level to level. So as you can see, if I tried to enter this, this is now locked. It's password locked. So what you can do when students complete, let's say, this level, okay, you can then say, right, whatever text you want, you have acquired or accrued enough of this energy, you can now move on to level 2. So you can type in move on to level 2. Great. Now what you can do with this is you can right click, and you can go to this section called password protection. So you can protect this section. So now if I go all the way back into ChatGPT, what you can see in terms of what I asked it to do further down was to create codes for each level. So this one, move to the next level, is Lunar 2023. So I'm going to use that code to put there, copy it in again to verify. I'm going to set that as the password. And what hopefully will happen is you'll see this password, you'll see this little padlock appear. And if I click out of it, it should close. Now what I'm going to do then, I'm going to go through that same process. I'm going to right click, I'm going to copy link to section, come back to here, highlight it, right click and insert the link. And I'm going to put the address to that. Now, if that's locked now, you can see. Great, so let's just try that. So if I click on this now, move on to level 2. This section is password protected, click here. So what that means is that then students can't move on until they have obviously the correct codes, correct words. Now you can change this, and previously I've done it with breakout rooms. You could change it so that every answer they acquire, whatever they do, forms part of the code or a cipher or something like that. What I did with mine, if I take you through it. So, and now I have to remember what my own passwords were for this. How bad's that? I think the first one was, without giving it away, I typed it in wrong then. I know I typed it in wrong. Let's do this again. Yeah, so there we go. What I did with mine is I kept the passwords. So in terms of the point scoring system, as you can see on mine, what happened was students had to complete the first 3 questions. Now, if they got it right, they acquired obviously the certain points, and ChatGPT told me obviously, and I used those. If they got it wrong, they lost points. Now you don't have to do that, but it just makes it so that obviously they're really thinking it through. They're double checking before they come to me and check. Once they got those first 3 correct, they then moved on to the boss level. If they completed that, they gained extra points, and I gave them the code to move into the next level, so they had to type it in. We had on the board in front of us as well, then we had our scoreboard. And again, this is very ad hoc at the moment. It was just on there as an Excel for the teams, and then obviously the question parts, and we put in each one there, and you can see how far people are at. They got extra points for completing the levels, and that was kind of what was nice and about this one for ChatGPT, because it gives you this here, what each one's worth: 5 points, 7 points, 10 points. And you can tweak that around, you can change it however you want it to be. But we ran it like that. And so they acquired points and did it that way. So that's how I set up the OneNote, and that's how you can use it in that. Now, in terms of student access to this, what you can do then is, for each OneNote, if I was to right click on the Velocity Voyager now, you can share that with students. This is why it's saved into my Talim side, my school side. So if I'm on it and I want to sort of send link to the notebook, let's move this over so you can see. Then again, what you can do with this is you can just copy the link. And now, as it says, anyone with a link can edit. I don't want that. I don't want them to be able to edit this. So I want them to be able to view it so that anyone with a link can view. I can copy the link, and then dependent on how you work, so whether it's on Teams, whether it's PowerPoint, Google, whatever it may be in terms of distribution of information, you can put the link there. Students click on it and it opens up online. So students can be working on it online. They don't have to have the app, but they will need obviously I think it should work without needing to log in. None of mine needed to log in, do anything, just click on the link, opened up. There was 1 or 2 sticky issues with iPads, but where it came to then laptops and everything else like that, not a problem whatsoever. And that's how you use it in OneNote. And there you have it, guys. Hopefully that was useful in terms of seeing how you can generate the ideas and then the actual questions and all the gamified parts with ChatGPT using AI text to image generator. Now, as I said, Midjourney is the one that I use at the moment, but there are other ones out there. So Leonardo.ai, I think Art Breeder, is it Night Cafe? There's a few different ones I'll put in the description below. But I am going to be honest with you, Midjourney is the best. Having compared a few of them, just what comes out of it is just so much better than the others, but unfortunately it's paid for. And then hopefully you've been able to take those two things and see how you can combine it into OneNote to create a gamified or kind of breakout room experience. But there's loads more I will and probably will do with it as I employ gamification and gamified lessons with that class throughout the year, and it's something I want to be regular with. So every kind of week or 2 weeks, as it were, they get one. And I even had a student say, "Sir, is this something I'm going to continue doing every week on a Friday?" I was like, "Yeah," and they were like, "Oh, great." And they like that because what I can do, and I'm thinking fast, and I've been thinking about it since I actually taught this lesson, is keep them in the same teams for a period of time and have that leaderboard constantly visible throughout their lesson so they can see over time, obviously, how they're doing. And then that also comes into the things that make it gamified, like the level ups and like the cards and things they could get. So you could give them specifically what they earn from one, and they can carry it over into others. So there's a list of things. And again, I asked ChatGPT to come up with some ideas. So things like a time turner or clue master, lifelines, double or nothings, critical hits, we've got master of units, speed demons. The list was there. So you can actually then go back into the ChatGPT and ask it to come up with some levels or power up cards or things like that. So that was kind of my thought process about how I'm going to continue to use this, but also make it so that the students, it's gamified for the students, that they get something out of it in terms of scoreboards and points and cards that they can use throughout the lessons, not just necessarily in the game ones. If you've liked this video, guys, then hit the like button. I kind of think that's what it's there for. You like something, you hit the like button. Also, if you're new here, my mission this year, Christmas, is to have 1,000 subscribers, and I'm currently on 900. So for those 900 of you, thank you ever so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. If you've yet to, you know what I'm going to say. Please hit that subscribe button. I will continue to put out videos on AI and classroom and all sorts of different elements of teaching that hopefully you can go and do and try and utilize in your lessons as well. Other than that, guys, thanks ever so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.